If you're a private sector business owner and you're wondering if OSHA applies to you, this video is going to provide the clarity you need. Hi, I'm Rachel with Ally Safety. I'm a safety professional and my career was built on helping companies stay in compliance with OSHA. Now I make training videos. We've got some serious ground to cover today, so let's get going. Under the General Duty Clause, OSHA requires that employers provide a safe and healthy workplace for employees. But does that mean all employers need to follow their rules and regulations? There have been tons of rumors over the years about who OSHA applies to. Some people think that if you're under $100,000 in revenue, it doesn't apply to you. Or if you have less than 10 employees, it doesn't apply to you. Unfortunately, those things aren't true or are just partially true. Because of OSHA's broad scope, most employers must follow their regulations. However, there are several groups that have exemptions from OSHA, meaning they're safe from citations and punishment if they don't comply with OSHA standards. These groups actually fall into two simple categories: full exemptions and partial exemptions. Let's go through both of them and let us know in the comments below if your business is fully exempt or partial exempt or not exempt at all. Let's start with full exemptions. The first one is simple. If you're employed by a church, you get a full exemption. No OSHA for you. That's why replacing the church roof can lead the congregation to start praying for the preacher's safety. The next big category is small farming operations. This one is a little bit more involved and very unique to farming. If you run a farm with 10 or fewer employees at all times during the year, you would be exempt from OSHA. But let's say you hire extra help during harvest and have 11 employees at any one time. Even if that 11th one is only part-time, OSHA will apply. Also, if you ever have a temporary labor camp for your workers, OSHA automatically applies. However, the interesting thing is there's a crucial loophole here, and that is if you employ family members. Family members of farm employees don't count when determining the number of employees. But what constitutes a family member, especially in the modern family? Just so we're clear here, here's what counts as family: spouses, children, stepchildren, foster children, parents, step-parents, foster parents, brothers and sisters. Farmers are the only group that get the family exemption. No second cousin twice removed or anything like that. Next, self-employed workers get a full exemption. Under the OSHA Act, the term employer means a person who is engaged in business and who is responsible for employees. Meaning, if you don't have employees, you're not an employer, and you're not subject to OSHA rules and regulations. But if you get just one employee, bam, OSHA rules apply. Now, sometimes people try to find a loophole here and operate their business as a sole proprietorship. But if you have anyone other than yourself working for you, OSHA still applies. There's not much for gray area here. Lastly, in full exemptions, if your workplace safety is regulated by another agency, you are exempt from OSHA requirements. For example, if you work in nuclear power, you're going to be regulated by the Department of Energy. If you work in a mine, you're regulated by MSHA, and you don't have to follow both OSHA and MSHA requirements simultaneously. Regulations are mutually exclusive. However, this exclusion is based on the function of the work and can actually end up being tricky and complicated. For example, if you have 1,000 acres of land and part of it is farmed and part of it is a quarry, OSHA would apply to the farm and MSHA would apply to the quarry. But MSHA and OSHA wouldn't have jurisdiction over both. So you have to comply with different regulations based on the function being performed. This OSHA versus MSHA jurisdiction battle is actually worth a whole series of videos on its own to explain, but those videos have the potential to be painfully boring. So unless I get a lot of requests for them, I don't really plan on doing it. That's it for full exemptions. Now let's talk about partial exemptions. Your business could have a partial record-keeping exemption as long as you're below 10 employees and meet the right criteria. This is going to be a little bit involved, so grab a cup of coffee, a piece of paper for notes, and hang in there with me. Okay, here we go. Employers who have 10 or fewer employees and are in fairly low-risk industries like retail locations, offices, and broadcasting agencies have a partial exemption from OSHA's injury and illness record-keeping requirements. These are known as the OSHA 300 and 301 log. Note, this is for low-risk companies only and generally won't apply to either construction or manufacturing. For a list of the exempt industries, check out the link in the description below. This exemption means you don't need to keep injury and illness records like the OSHA 300, 300A, and 301 logs, unless OSHA were to contact you in writing and tell you specifically that you needed to. However, if you are exempt and there's a serious injury constituting an inpatient hospitalization, amputation, the loss of an eye, or a fatality, you're still required to call OSHA and report it to them within the time limit that OSHA specifies based on the injury. So, let's say you're partially exempt and you hire a few people and now you have 11 employees. It's time to start doing your injury and illness record keeping. This partial exemption is actually based on peak numbers of employees, not averages. And it doesn't matter if the 11th person is just part-time, full-time, or temporary, or even seasonal. OSHA will still apply. Even if you're pretty sure one of those employees never does any actual work ever, OSHA still applies. Also, if you have several business locations, it's not location specific. It's based on the entire company. So having 5 employees at one location and 6 at another would mean OSHA applies. They don't give any wiggle room on those numbers. So there's your list of private sector full and partial OSHA exemptions. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit that like and subscribe button and let us know if you're non-exempt, partially exempt, or fully exempt in the comments below. As always, take care and stay safe. Hi, Rachel from Ally Safety here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the Ally Safety Toolbox Talk membership at allysafety.com. There, you'll find an entire library of videos that are created to make safety entertaining. I'll see you there at allysafety.com.